Good day to our thesis advisor, Professor Venus M. Avenido, to the panelists, Professor Asusina H. Hortelano and Professor Benjamin Mangela, and also to the chairperson, Professor Darlene T. Balbastro. I am Charity Opeda and I would like to greet you all a pleasant day. We'll be presenting our proposed study entitled These Walls Really Talk, Decoding College Students' Graffiti Writing on School Campus Walls, together with my group mates, Ms. Phoebe Jean Archie, Ms. Aljan Mirella, and Mr. Danny Morga. And for the background of the study, graffiti is viewed as the freedom of expression whereby the writer is often anonymous. It is profoundly common in schools and it is scribbling seen on the walls, desks, books, materials, and even the school grounds and buildings. According to Bartholomew 2001, students rarely use legitimate avenues for self-expression. So they find graffiti as the only avenue that can provide privacy and anonymity necessary to express themselves for fear of the consequences of being noted. Through graffiti, students reveal their hostilities, unburden their grievances, express fantasies and frustrations, or declare a socially unacceptable point of view on subjects ranging from philosophy to politics, humor, religion, drugs, sports, and sex. And for the statement of the problem, this qualitative study analyzes the communicative functions and ideologies conveyed by the graffiti writings of students in J.H. Cerullius Dominion campus of a state college in Zamboanga del Sur, Mindanao, Philippines. Specifically, it aims to answer the following queries. What are the communicative functions of college students' graffiti writings? What are the common ideologies that college students' graffiti writings wanted to convey? And for the theoretical framework, Ms. Aljan Mirella.
Thank you, Ms. Charity Upida. And now, I am Aljan Mirella and I will be presenting to you the theoretical framework. The underlying theory from where this study was largely based is Perkloff 1995, Critical Discourse Analysis, which adequately accounts for the successful interpretation of students' graffiti writings found on the college walls. Perkloff 1995-2003 argues that analyzing a text should take into account various elements: functional, lexical, grammatical, coherence, and textual structure. Perkloff 1989-1995 extend the notion of discourse from a merely unprompted and natural language in use, Brown and Yule 1983, and a means to recognize the speaker's intentions, Van Dyke 1985, to be part and product of social practices, Shilua 2008. Perkloff 1985 contends that ideologies reside in text, that it is not possible to read off ideologies from text, and the texts are open to diverse interpretation. Critical discourse analysis scrutinizes the mutual interplay and relationship between peoples, texts, events, and practices, and broader sociocultural structures to reflect on the way these texts, events, and practices arise out of and are ideologically shaped by relations of power. This view is pertinent to this study in that it offers an explanatory framework for graffiti writing as an incident that is affected by the social milieu and as one that also influences it. Van Dyke 1983 and Clark 2007 support the notion that CDA sees language a social shape but is also socially shaping or constitutive. Also, they consider the context of language to be very crucial. Clark stresses that CDA gives emphasis to the idea language is the primary medium of social control and power, and is therefore fundamentally ideological. For Van Dyke, 1998, CDA's focus is on social issues and that is typically studies the many forms of abuse of power in relation of gender, ethnicity, and class, such as sexism and racism. He emphasizes that CDA seeks to know how discourse enacts, expresses, condemns, and contributes to the reproduction of inequality. At the same time, CDA is stated by Van Dyke tries to explain the experience and the opinion of dominated groups and studies the most effective ways of resistance and dissent. In this study, students are perceived as people who are employing the language to express various types of concerns and communicate difficulties they face in their institutions. Adapting this theoretical framework model, this study investigates the students' graffiti writings on the walls of college as a social practice, that is, the creation of social practices on both the individual and the institutional levels, which yield and replicate them so as to preserve their innocent existence. Perclough, 1995, does graffiti writing provide an explicit image and insightful understanding of the numerous changes being economic, educational, political, social, etc. in the social. Let's continue the conceptual framework. Considering Perclough 1995, theoretical framework discourse is then defined as particular way of constructing particular domain of social practice, while genre is a way of using language which corresponds to the nature of the social practice that is being engaged in. By analyzing intertextuality, the researcher her aims to specify which fields or topic subject matters are associated with a genre and which discourses are drawn upon to construct these fields. Perclough 1995 further argues that intertextuality analysis is an interpretative activity which depends highly on the researcher's personal judgment and experience. Employing Perclough critical discourse analysis, or CDA, the analysis made by the researcher is this. Study involves two levels. The first level of analysis delves on the communicative function of college students' graffiti writing, while the second level are the common ideologies that college students' graffiti wanted to convey.
Thank you, Ms. Marilla, for presenting the conceptual framework. I am Phoebe Jane Archie, presenting for the research design. The main problem is, these walls really talk, decoding college students' graffiti writings on school campus walls. In this study, we apply qualitative method for research, specifically to the Perclough critical discourse. We examine and analyze college students' graffiti writings which are found on the various walls of the college. For the purpose of the study, we have Danny Morga to present.
Thank you, Ms. Archie, for presenting the research design. I'm Danny T. Morga Jr. for the purpose of the study. So the main subject of this research is the students' graffiti writings that can be found in all corners of the campus that include the classroom buildings, offices, function halls, and even the comfort rooms in different departments of GHRL State College, Dumingag Campus, Dumingag, Zamboanga del Sur, where we gathered the data to be analyzed and to be examined. Upon collecting the data, we, the researcher, used the mobile phone camera, the pen, and even the notebook to get those necessary information for better analysis. On the other hand, these studies only focus to those graffiti writings. It doesn't include the drawings, caricatures, and any other form of images that is being found. Then, for the data analysis procedure, we have VB Archie.
Thank you, Mr. Morga, for presenting the corpus of the study. Now, I will be presenting the data collection procedure. In the first level of analysis, involved the identification of communicative functions performed by the students' graffiti writings. We consider the study of communicative functions that have adapted to Mary Pinocchiaro's functional categories. Pinocchiaro and Bramfett, 1983, page 65 to 66. These fall under 5 major categories. First category, we have personal, interpersonal, directive, referential, and imaginative. These communicative functions identified were also employed by the researcher in categorizing the students' graffiti writings. And the second level of analysis, it involved the identification of the common ideologies conveyed by the students' graffiti writings. In identifying the ideologies, it will contain in these writings. First writing, the analysis focus on the semantic macro structures of the text, that is, with the study of global meanings, topics, or themes. Furthermore, assessing ideological content of students' graffiti writings requires not only examining the meaning and form, but also social dimensions, action, and interaction. We call this discourse when we uttered in a specific situation may accomplish the speech act of an assertion, of a question, accusation, promise, or threat. For the literature cited, Mr. Morga will be presenting.
Now, for all the claims and statement that was presented in this presentation was supported by these sources from the beginning till the end, from the background of the study until the data analysis procedure. So these are the sources foundation that was support this presentation.